Good day, my friends. Well, they are going after Rudy Giuliani, and they are going after him for the purposes of the fact that he filed a series of lawsuits and the like that had no basis, apparently no earthly basis whatsoever. They are claiming that he has been the perpetrator of attorney discipline and the like, or is subject to attorney discipline. We'll talk about that. Somebody asked a question, what's the difference between a lawyer and an attorney? Well, a lawyer is a term that is used specifically for a legal representative that is licensed to appear with you in court, to try cases, whatever. An attorney, historically, has been a representative, an attorney in fact, an attorney, it's the two, for practical purposes, are used interchangeably. But lawyer is only for what we consider to be a lawyer, a Perry Mason type. An attorney historically could be other things. It's like in the British system, solicitor and barrister. But what they're claiming right now is that an attorney disciplinary committee has recommended that Rudy be disbarred in Washington for his efforts on behalf of the move by Trump to overturn the 2020 election. And if it happens, remember, he has a pending New York case, and normally there's a reciprocal agreement. If one court disbars you, the other ones will do almost automatically. And the committee, which weighs apparently and determines cases of legal ethics and attorney misconduct in the District of Columbia, of which I am a member, issued the report and recommendation on Giuliani Friday following a lawyer misconduct hearing for Giuliani in December that functioned pretty much like a trial. It says, quote, he claimed massive election fraud, but no evidence of it. By prosecuting that destructive case, Mr. Giuliani, a sworn officer of the court, forfeited his right to practice law. He should be disbarred. And the panel's recommendation is not final. The case against him still must be considered by the D.C.'s Board on Professional Responsibility and the D.C. Court of Appeals. I would venture to say they're not going to go against kind of their own, as it were. Now, the committee specifically criticized Mr. Giuliani for dishonesty following the 2020 election and what they called calculated attempts to undermine and to reverse and to subvert the elections. And when he claimed, they say falsely, in a Pennsylvania federal court that there had been election fraud that could overturn Joe Biden's win. I've got some real problems with this. According to the committee, wrote, quote, Mr. Giuliani has not acknowledged or accepted responsibility for his misconduct. To the contrary, he has declared his indignation over being subjected to the disciplinary process. We are convinced that a sanction must be enhanced to ensure it adequately deters both respondent Giuliani and other attorneys from acting similarly in the future. Now, the bottom line is simply this. If you bring a case that you know is absolutely fraudulent, without a doubt fraudulent, and not subject to any basis whatsoever, you certainly should be sanctioned. You should be treated accordingly for that. You should be dealt with that accordingly. However, and this is critical, however, there are lawyers who can remain zealous. There are lawyers who can remain absolutely determined to represent their case, who believe that evidence will be shown, will be proved that doesn't. Happens a lot, happens all the time. And I've got to tell you, and maybe I'm mistaken, but the number of lawyers who basically normally, if you bring something that's frivolous, there are sanctions. A court can find that there is no, quote, a case with no justiciable issue. You can be sanctioned, you can be fined. But to be disbarred and then to use your own indignation against you. Again, I am not familiar with the case, and I tend to be very, very loath to comment on cases where I have not read the actual facts before the judge or before the hearing or before the committee. So I don't know. Could be far worse than anything. Rudy, in all candor, has been acting a little daft lately, in my opinion. Some say he might be drinking too much. He might be whatever. I don't know. Towards the end, during that horrible spectacle with Sidney Powell, with that Jenna Ellis, remember her? She escaped any kind of, I don't know. Again, I don't know the facts of her case, but she was brought up at least in something initially where she was. They suggested that maybe she had gone a little too far in her representation. But. It is of note that had this not been involving Donald Trump, I would venture to say that the chances of this case going this far would be, well, that we'd be hearing anything about it. Something tells me that if it had been any other case involving any other situation other than Donald Trump, again, not having read, it could be the most egregious. Something tells me it is indeed the subject matter. Okay? And it's a shame to see this about old Rudy. It is a shame to see this. It is a shame to see what has happened to somebody who is and has been so terrific and so, my God, he has just been so, so great, so incredible, so incredible. Because I've got to tell you that while nobody is above the law and nobody is above these types of things, there's something that is so incredibly unfair about the amount of attention that has been presented and shown to Rudy. I'm sorry. It's beyond anything I've ever seen. But yet again, he showed a recklessness. Remember when he's standing there with the ink was pouring up his hair dye? They say, I don't know how much he was. You hear these things, and it breaks my heart because he was such a great mayor. And when he was and a lot of people, he's made so many enemies. Oh my God, has he made enemies. He has made enemies like you cannot imagine his entire life. That's the whole notion of the combative Rudy, the contumacious Rudy, the absolutely incredible Rudy. And what we are seeing right now, which is so incredible, is a targeted focus on all that is Trump. That's all I was saying. Next, I have a brand new, this story, another story that kills me. The Biden administration has okayed the dropping of, or the sending of munitions, specifically cluster bombs to Kyiv. Dear God, cluster bombs. It's the most incredible thing I've ever heard in my life. Dear God. We are going to end up absolutely, positively, without any, how do I say this? Without any, we are going to escalate this to the point of I don't even know what the story is. I don't even I am so afraid. The Russians have said this, other people have said it. They have pushed Putin to the point where they have said repeatedly, over and over and over and over and over again, they have absolutely, positively done so much. And they have said, but let me respond to you and remind you of something. Why do you think this is important? Why do you think Japan attacked us? Japan knew 100% that there would be problems with this. Japan knew this. Japan knew this. Japan knew, but they were pushed, and they had to do this. When you push people to the point where you say, all right, that's enough, and you're still arguing whether you want Ukraine in NATO, oh, come on, stop it. So, my friends, my heart breaks for Rudy. I've known Rudy for 30 years. 30 years. And have met with him, and whenever I see him, we give each other a big hug. It's so sad to see what has happened to him. So there's a part of me that's very sad. Please pray that it goes no further in Kyiv than what we're seeing. That's all I'm saying. Please pray beyond anything that Putin or other people don't say, you know what, that's enough. Got to teach these folks a lesson. They have to find out who we are. Dear God, I don't want that. We have no business there. It's none of our business. And this NATO Soviet containment when there's no Soviet Union, this is anachronistic. It is dangerous. It's foolhardy. And you're goading a superpower into this. You're also resetting new confederations nobody thought even possible. So anyway, my friends, that is it. It is a hot and a sticky night here in New York City. Anybody see the Hulu show or the show on Hulu? It's called Mr. In Between out of Australia. I love this guy. This is a badass dude. So anyway, my friends, you have a great and a glorious night. I appreciate you being with us. We will see you tomorrow again at the same time at 8 a.m. You have a wonderful day, a wonderful time, a wonderful evening, and a wonderful everything in life. Thank you for your support. Thank you for helping us. And don't forget, our good friends at mypillow.com, promo code Lionel. Sales and clearances aplenty. And don't forget also to like this video. Like it. Subscribe to the channel. All right, my friends. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great time. And don't forget this, as we always say. Oh, and let me also tell you. Mrs. L. This is critical. Just a minute. Where is it? Here we go. Let me see. Because you have been terrific. Her videos have been better. They are catching on like wildfire. Because, like great people like you recognize the criticality that is involved in protecting our children. And this is her YouTube channel. Just go. It's set right for, you just click on this. It's set right for subscription. Just you don't have to do anything. Just put subscribe, and that's it. All right, friends. See you tomorrow. 8 a.m. Have a great time. But don't forget, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da. Okay, Simone says